Crash landing on Zephyria. The alarms blared as Jake's spacecraft hurtled through the atmosphere of the uncharted planet. Warning lights flashed across his control panel, indicating multiple system failures. Jake gritted his teeth, his hands gripping the controls as he fought to stabilize the craft's descent. "Come on, baby. Hold together," he muttered, sweat beading on his forehead. The ship groaned and shuddered around him as the heat of re-entry battered its failing shields. Jake had been on a routine survey mission when an unexpected spatial anomaly knocked his ship off course and damaged its systems. Now, he found himself plummeting toward an alien world with no way to avoid impact. As the ground rushed up to meet him, Jake closed his eyes and braced for the inevitable crash. The impact was jarring, metal screaming as the ship plowed into the planet's surface. Jake's head slammed against the control panel, and darkness engulfed him. When Jake regained consciousness, the first thing he noticed was the sweet, floral scent in the air. His eyes fluttered open, adjusting to the soft purple light filtering through what appeared to be gossamer curtains. He was lying on a bed of sorts, though it felt more like a living, breathing organism than any mattress he'd encountered before. As his vision cleared, Jake found himself staring into a pair of mesmerizing, iridescent eyes. They belonged to a stunningly beautiful woman with skin the color of lavender and hair that seemed to shimmer and shift like starlight. Her features were undeniably alien, yet hauntingly alluring. "You're awake," she said, her voice musical and soothing. "We were beginning to worry, Skyfallen One." Jake tried to sit up, but a wave of dizziness forced him back down. Where am I?" he managed to croak out. The alien woman placed a cool hand on his forehead. "You are safe now, in the heart of our village. I am Lyra, healer of the Zephyr tribe. You crashed in our forest 3 cycles ago." As Jake's mind cleared, the events of the crash came rushing back. He took in his surroundings, noting the organic architecture of the room. Everything seemed to be alive, from the walls that pulsed with a soft bioluminescence to furniture that appeared to have grown from the floor itself. "Thank you for saving me," Jake said, meeting Lyra's gaze. "I'm Jake from Earth. My ship, it was damaged. I didn't mean to intrude on your world." Lyra's eyes widened with curiosity. "Earth? We have never encountered your kind before. You are different from us." Her gaze traveled over him, lingering on his features in a way that made Jake acutely aware of their differences. Before Jake could respond, the entrance to the room shimmered, and another alien woman entered. This one had skin the deep blue of the twilight sky, with hair that seemed to float around her head like a living nebula. "Lyra, the matriarch wishes to speak with our guest," the newcomer announced, her eyes fixed on Jake with unconcealed fascination. Lyra nodded and turned back to Jake. "Can you stand? Zora will help you to the matriarch's chamber." With Zora's assistance, Jake managed to get to his feet. As they made their way through the village, he couldn't help but stare in wonder at his surroundings. The entire settlement seemed to be a harmonious blend of nature and advanced biotechnology. Structures grew from the ground like trees, their surfaces adorned with pulsing lights and intricate, functional patterns. But what struck Jake most was the population. Everywhere he looked, he saw only women, each as strikingly beautiful and alien as Lyra and Zara. They stopped and stared as he passed, whispering among themselves with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Where are all the men?" Jake asked Zara as they walked. Zara's expression turned somber. "There are no men on Zephyria, not anymore. You are the first male any of us have seen in generations." Before Jake could process this revelation, they arrived at a massive structure that seemed to be the centerpiece of the village. Inside, they were led to a grand chamber where an older Zephyrian woman sat upon a throne of living crystal. Her skin was the pale blue of a clear sky, and her eyes held wisdom that seemed to span millennia. "Welcome, traveler from the stars," the matriarch's voice resonated through the chamber. "I am Selene, leader of the Zephyr tribe. We have much to discuss." Over the next few hours, Jake learned the history of Zephyria and its people. Centuries ago, A mysterious plague had wiped out all the males of their species. The surviving women had adapted, developing the ability to reproduce through a complex process of energy transference. But the lack of genetic diversity was slowly weakening their population. Your arrival may be more than mere chance, Selene explained. Our seers have long prophesied the coming of a star-born savior who would help us restore balance to our world. Jake's mind reeled at the implications. I'm not sure I'm qualified for that kind of responsibility, he stammered. Selene's eyes twinkled with amusement. Perhaps not yet, but you have skills and knowledge that are foreign to us. In exchange for our protection and hospitality, we ask that you share your wisdom and help us advance our technology. Jake considered the offer. His ship was beyond repair, and he had no way to contact Earth. The Zephyrians were offering him a home and a purpose. And if he was honest with himself, the idea of being surrounded by a tribe of beautiful alien women wasn't exactly unappealing. I'll do my best to help in any way I can, Jake agreed. A chorus of excited murmurs rippled through the gathered Zephyrians. Selene raised her hand for silence. Then it is settled. Jake of Earth, you are now a member of the Zephyr tribe. Lyra and Zara will be your guides as you acclimate to our world. As Jake left the matriarch's chamber with his new companions, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. He was about to embark on the greatest adventure of his life, on a world beyond his wildest imagination. Over the next few weeks, Jake immersed himself in learning about Zephyrian culture and technology. He was amazed by their symbiotic relationship with the living planet around them. The Zephyrians could communicate with plants and animals on a level that seemed almost magical to Jake. Lyra took charge of teaching Jake about Zephyrian biology and their unique reproductive process. It was during one of these lessons that Jake first experienced the intense attraction that seemed to radiate from the alien women. Our bodies produce a natural pheromone, Lyra explained, her fingers trailing along Jake's arm in a way that sent shivers down his spine. It's how we attract partners for energy transference. I imagine it must be quite potent to your physiology. Jake swallowed hard, acutely aware of Lyra's proximity. Yeah, you could say that, he managed to reply, his voice husky. Lyra's eyes met his, filled with a mixture of scientific curiosity and something more primal. Perhaps we should conduct some experiments, for research purposes, of course. Before things could progress further, they were interrupted by Zara, who burst into the room with excitement. Jake, we need your help. One of our hydroponic systems is malfunctioning. Grateful for the distraction, Jake followed Zara to the vast greenhouse where the Zephyrians grew much of their food. As he worked to repair the system, applying his engineering knowledge to their organic technology, Jake couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging. The Zephyrians watched in awe as he quickly diagnosed and fixed the problem. You have a gift, Zara marveled. Your mind works in ways ours do not. Jake smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. It's just basic troubleshooting, but I'm happy I could help. As word of Jake's abilities spread, more and more Zephyrians sought his assistance with various projects. He found himself at the center of a technological renaissance, helping to merge Earth science with Zephyrian organic engineering. But not everyone was thrilled with Jake's growing influence. A faction led by a Zephyrian named Mira viewed him with suspicion and resentment. Jake overheard her speaking to a group of supporters one evening. He is an outsider, a potential threat, Mira hissed. How do we know he won't try to dominate us, as the males of old did? We've thrived without men for generations. We don't need him. Jake's heart sank at the hostility in her words. Despite the warm welcome he'd received from most of the tribe, he was still an alien on this world. Would he ever truly belong? As if sensing his distress, Lyra appeared at his side. Don't let Mira's words trouble you, she said softly. Change is difficult for some, but many of us see the value you bring to our people. Jake turned to her, struck once again by her otherworldly beauty. Thank you, Lyra. I just want to help, to find my place here. Lyra's hand found his, her touch electric. Perhaps your place is closer than you think, she murmured, her eyes locked on his. As the twin moons of Zephyria rose in the night sky, casting their ethereal glow over the village, Jake realized that his crash landing on this alien world might have been the best thing that ever happened to him. Despite the challenges ahead, he was ready to embrace his new life among the stars. Secrets of the Crystalline Forest. As the golden light of Zephyria's twin suns peeped over the horizon, Jake found himself trekking through the planet's mysterious crystalline forest. The alien landscape sparkled around him, trees made of living crystal stretching towards the sky, their branches chiming softly in the breeze. "Remind me again why we're out here at the crack of dawn?" Jake asked, stifling a yawn. Zara, her midnight blue skin shimmering in the early morning light, flashed him a mischievous grin. "Because, Sky-Fallen One, you said you wanted to truly understand our world. And to do that, you must experience the awakening." Jake raised an eyebrow. The awakening sounds ominous. Lyra, who walked on Jake's other side, laughed melodiously. "Far from it. The awakening is a daily ritual of our people. It's how we connect with the living essence of Zephyria." As they walked deeper into the forest, Jake marveled at the alien flora surrounding them. Flowers that seemed to be made of living flame bloomed alongside delicate ferns of spun glass. The air was filled with a sweet, intoxicating scent that made Jake's head swim. Suddenly, Zara and Lyra came to a stop in a small clearing. At its center stood a massive crystal formation, pulsing with an inner light. "We're here," Zara announced, her voice hushed with reverence. Jake approached the crystal cautiously. "What exactly am I supposed to do?" Lyra took his hand, sending a jolt of electricity through his body. "Just place your palm on the crystal and open your mind. Let Zephyria in." Feeling slightly foolish but intrigued, Jake did as instructed. The moment his skin made contact with the smooth surface of the crystal, the world around him exploded into vibrant color and sound. Jake gasped as he felt his consciousness expand, suddenly aware of every living thing in the forest. He could sense the slow, patient thoughts of the crystal trees, the quick, darting minds of small creatures scurrying through the underbrush, and the vast, ancient presence of Zephyria itself. "By Einstein's ghost," Jake breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. "Is this how you see the world all the time?" Zara nodded, her eyes glowing with an inner light. "This is the true face of our world, Jake, and now you're a part of it." As the sensation faded, Jake stumbled back, overwhelmed by the experience. Lyra steadied him, her touch lingering on his arm. "That was incredible," Jake said, still trying to process what he'd felt. "I've never experienced anything like it." "Few outsiders have," a new voice said from the edge of the clearing. Jake turned to see Mira, her emerald skin almost blending in with the surrounding foliage. Her eyes were narrowed with suspicion. "Mira," Zara acknowledged, her tone cool. "I didn't expect to see you here." Mira stepped forward, her gaze fixed on Jake. "I came to see for myself if the rumors were true. An alien, participating in the awakening. It's unprecedented." Jake felt a flicker of annoyance at Mira's hostile tone. "I'm just trying to understand your world better," he said evenly. "Isn't that what you want? For me to integrate into your society?" Mira's lips curled into a sneer. "Integration is one thing, but some secrets should remain our own." Before Jake could respond, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. A low, ominous rumble filled the air. "Quick," Lyra shouted, her eyes wide with fear. "We need to get back to the village." As the group began to run, the forest around them came alive with danger. Crystal branches crashed down around them, and fissures opened in the earth, spewing forth noxious gases. Jake's mind raced, analyzing the situation with his engineer's precision. He noticed a pattern to the quakes, a rhythm that seemed almost artificial. "Wait," he called out, skidding to a stop. "This isn't a natural phenomenon. It's too regular, too controlled." Mira scoffed. "And what would you know about our world's geological patterns?" Jake ignored her, his eyes scanning the surrounding forest. There, half hidden by a cluster of flame flowers, he spotted an anomaly, a metallic glint that didn't belong in this organic world. Without hesitation, Jake sprinted towards it, dodging falling crystals and leaping over widening chasms. The others followed, calling out in alarm. As Jake reached the source of the glint, his suspicions were confirmed. A sleek, otherworldly device was embedded in the ground, pulsing with energy. "It's some kind of tectonic manipulator," Jake explained, examining the device closely. "It's artificially creating these quakes." Zara gasped. But who would do such a thing, and why? Jake's mind flashed back to his initial crash landing, to the anomaly that had knocked his shit off course. "I don't think I'm the only visitor your planet has had recently," he said grimly. With skilled precision, Jake began to dismantle the device, his fingers flying over its alien controls. The others watched in awe as he worked, even Mira's hostility temporarily forgotten in the face of his expertise. Finally, with a satisfying click, the device powered down. The quakes subsided, leaving an eerie silence in their wake. You saved us," Mira said, her voice tinged with reluctant admiration. Jake stood, brushing dirt from his hands. "I just did what needed to be done. But we're not out of the woods yet. Whoever planted this device is still out there, and I have a feeling they're not friendly." As they made their way back to the village, Jake's mind whirled with possibilities. Who were these mysterious invaders? What did they want with Zephyria? And how was he, a stranded human engineer, going to protect this world that he was growing to love? One thing was certain, life on Zephyria was about to get a lot more complicated. But as Jake felt the warmth of Lyra's hand in his, saw the gratitude shining in Zara's eyes, and even noticed a newfound respect in Mira's gaze, he knew he wouldn't face these challenges alone. The crystalline forest chimed softly around them, as if acknowledging the bond that had been forged in the face of danger. Jake took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the sweet, alien air of Zephyria. Whatever came next, he was ready to face it, for his new home, and for the extraordinary women who had welcomed him into their world. The quantum nexus. As the triple moons of Zephyria cast their ethereal glow over the bioluminescent landscape, Jake found himself in the heart of the village's newly established tech hub. The fusion of Earth science and Zephyrian organic engineering had given birth to a marvel of innovation, the quantum nexus. "All right, let's fire this baby up," Jake said, his fingers dancing over a console that pulsed with living energy. Lyra and Zara stood nearby, their eyes wide with anticipation. The quantum nexus hummed to life, a swirling vortex of data and light materializing in the center of the room. It was a breakthrough in communication technology, capable of tapping into the very fabric of spacetime to transmit information across vast distances. By the first mothers, Zara breathed, her starlight hair shimmering with excitement. "It's beautiful." Jake grinned, feeling a surge of pride. "And it might just be our best shot at figuring out who's behind those tectonic manipulators." As the nexus stabilized, strange signals began to filter through. Alien chatter, distant starship engines, and something else. A pattern that made the hair on the back of Jake's neck stand up. "That's not good," he muttered, enhancing the signal. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a massive fleet of ships moving through the void of space. Their design was sleek, predatory, and unmistakably headed towards Zephyria. Lyra's lavender skin paled. "The Void Reavers," she whispered, her voice filled with dread. "They're supposed to be just a legend." "Well, this legend's about to become very real," Jake said grimly. "We need to warn the matriarch." As they rushed to Selene's chamber, Jake's mind raced. The Void Reavers, a name that sent shivers down the spines of the Zephyrians. An ancient enemy, thought to be long extinct, now bearing down on their peaceful world. The matriarch's eyes widened as they relayed the news. "This is grave indeed," Selene said, her usual serenity shaken. "The Void Reavers nearly destroyed our civilization eons ago. We lack the military might to repel them. Jake stepped forward, determination etched on his face. Then we'll have to get creative. Your people have incredible abilities, and now we have the quantum nexus. If we combine Zephyrian biomanipulation with some Earth-style tactical thinking, we might stand a chance. Selene regarded him thoughtfully. What do you propose, Jake of Earth? Over the next few days, the village transformed into a hive of activity. Jake worked tirelessly, adapting Zephyrian technology for defense. He created bio-organic force fields, quantum-entangled communication networks, and even repurposed the crystal trees into living weapon platforms. But his most ambitious project was still in progress. A little to the left, Jake called out, directing a group of Zephyrians as they maneuvered a massive crystal into place. The structure before them was like nothing Zephyria had ever seen, a colossal quantum cannon powered by the planet's own life force. Mira approached, her initial hostility replaced by grudging respect. Would it be enough? She asked, eyeing the cannon. Jake wiped sweat from his brow. It has to be. This baby can punch a hole through spacetime itself, but we'll need every Zephyrian working in perfect harmony to power it. As the day of the Void Reaver's arrival drew near, tension in the village reached a fever pitch. Jake found himself seeking a moment of peace in the crystalline forest, at the very spot where he'd first experienced the awakening. Laura found him there, her presence a balm to his troubled soul. "You've done more for us than we could have ever imagined," she said softly, taking his hand. Jake turned to her, struck anew by her alien beauty. "I couldn't have done any of it without you, all of you. This is my home now. I'll do whatever it takes to protect it." Their eyes met, and in that moment, the attraction that had been simmering between them since Jake's arrival finally boiled over. Their lips met in a kiss that sent shockwaves through the forest, the crystal trees chiming in harmony with their passion. But their moment of bliss was short-lived. A piercing alarm echoed through the air, signaling the approach of the Void Reavers. Jake and Lyra rushed back to the village, where chaos reigned. The sky had turned an ominous red, massive ships descending through the atmosphere. "Battle stations," Jake shouted, taking charge. Zephyrians scrambled to their positions, ready to defend their home. The first wave of Void Reaver fighters screamed overhead, raining down destruction, but the bio-organic shields held, deflecting their energy weapons. Jake manned the quantum cannon, Lyra and Zara at his side. "On my mark," he called out, watching as the massive Void Reaver mothership entered range. Now, every Zephyrian in the village focused their energy, channeling it into the cannon. Jake felt the surge of power, unlike anything he'd ever experienced. With a sound that shook the very foundations of reality, the quantum cannon fired. A beam of pure, concentrated life force lanced out, tearing a hole in the fabric of space. The Void Reaver mothership was caught in the quantum rift, twisted and warped before being yanked into another dimension. The remaining Void Reavers, stunned by the loss of their command ship, fell into disarray. The Zephyrians pressed their advantage, using their newly developed weapons to drive the invaders back. As the last Void Reaver ship disappeared into the blood-red sky, a cheer went up from the village. They had done it. Against all odds, they had repelled the greatest threat their world had ever faced. In the aftermath of the battle, as the adrenaline faded, Jake found himself surrounded by grateful Zephyrians. Selene approached, a rare smile on her face. "Jake of Earth," she said, her voice ringing out across the village square. "You have saved our world. From this day forward, you are no longer an outsider. You are Zephyrian." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Laura embraced Jake, tears of joy streaming down her face. Even Mira nodded in approval, all traces of her former suspicion gone. As Jake looked out over the faces of his new people, he felt a sense of belonging he'd never known before. He had found his place in the universe, on this strange and beautiful world. The quantum nexus pulsed behind him, a testament to what could be achieved when two cultures came together. And as the first light of Zephyria's triple suns peeked over the horizon, Jake knew that this was just the beginning of an extraordinary new chapter in his life, the cosmic convergence. As the dust settled from the Void Reaver invasion, Zephyria entered an unprecedented era of growth and innovation. Jake found himself at the center of it all, working tirelessly to merge Earth technology with Zephyrian bioengineering in ways that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. One crisp morning, as the planet's rainbow auroras danced across the sky, Jake stood before his latest creation, the harmonic synthesizer. It was a massive organic supercomputer that tapped into the planet's natural rhythms, capable of processing information at speeds that defied conventional physics. "All right, let's see what this baby can do," Jake muttered, initiating the startup sequence. The harmonic synthesizer hummed to life, its crystal nodes pulsing with ethereal light. Suddenly, a holographic display exploded into existence, filling the air with swirling galaxies and cosmic phenomena. Lyra gasped, her iridescent eyes wide with wonder. "By the first mothers, Jake, what are we seeing?" Jake's brow furrowed as he studied the display. It's a map of the universe. But not just our universe. I think we're looking at multiple realities, all layered on top of each other. Zara, who had become Jake's chief assistant in his tech endeavors, leaned in closer. "Look there," she said, pointing to a pulsing node where several realities seemed to intersect. "What's that?" Before Jake could respond, the harmonic synthesizer let out a piercing whine. The holographic display flickered and distorted, focusing in on the anomaly Zara had spotted. As they watched in awe, the node expanded, revealing a swirling vortex of cosmic energy. "It's some kind of interdimensional rift," Jake breathed, his mind racing with the implications. "And if these readings are correct, it's heading straight for Zephyria." The news spread quickly through the village. Matriarch Celine called an emergency council, with Jake at the center of the deliberations. "What exactly are we facing, Jake of Earth?" Celine asked, her ageless face etched with concern. Jake took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "From what the harmonic synthesizer is telling us, we're looking at a cosmic event unlike anything in recorded history. Multiple realities are converging on a single point, and that point is Zephyria." Murmurs of fear and excitement rippled through the gathered Zephyrians. Mira, who had become one of Jake's staunchest allies since the Void Reaver invasion, spoke up. "What will happen when these realities converge?" Jake shook his head. "I'm not sure. Best case scenario, a momentary overlap that could grant us unprecedented access to knowledge and technology from parallel worlds. Worst case, the complete annihilation of our reality." The council chamber erupted into chaos at his words. Celine raised her hand for silence. "What can we do to prepare?" Jake's mind raced, formulating a plan on the fly. "We need to stabilize the convergence point. If we can create a kind of cosmic anchor, we might be able to control the flow of energy between realities." "And how do you propose we do that?" Mira asked, her tone skeptical but not unkind. Jake grinned, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "We're going to build the biggest, baddest quantum harmonizer this universe, or any universe, has ever seen." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Jake worked around the clock, pushing the limits of Zephyrian bioengineering and his own scientific knowledge. The entire village came together, their unique abilities amplifying Jake's designs in ways he could never have imagined on Earth. As the day of convergence approached, a massive structure rose from the heart of the crystalline forest. The cosmic harmonizer was a marvel of organic technology, its spiraling towers reaching towards the sky like the branches of an impossibly large tree. On the eve of the event, Jake stood atop the highest spire, making final adjustments. Laura joined him, her presence a comforting constant in the face of the unknown. "Are you afraid?" she asked softly, entwining her fingers with his. Jake took a moment to consider. Terrified, he admitted, but also exhilarated. Whatever happens tomorrow, it's going to change everything. Laura's eyes shimmered with emotion. Whatever comes, we face it together. You've given us hope, Jake. You've shown us that the impossible is possible. As the twin suns set and Zephyria's moons rose, casting their ethereal light over the harmonizer, Jake and Lyra shared a passionate kiss. It was a moment of quiet intimacy before the storm, a reminder of what they were fighting to protect. The next morning, the sky above Zephyria blazed with otherworldly energies. The air itself seemed to vibrate with potential as reality began to warp and bend. Jake stood at the control center of the cosmic harmonizer, Lyra and Zara at his side. The entire Zephyrian population had gathered, their combined psychic energy feeding into the machine. "Here we go," Jake said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Initiating quantum field stabilization in 3, 2, 1. The harmonizer roared to life, its crystal spires pulsing with blinding light. A beam of pure energy shot into the sky, connecting with the swirling vortex of the convergence point. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a sound that defied description, reality itself split open. Gasps of awe and fear echoed through the crowd as glimpses of other worlds flickered in the air around them. Jake saw versions of Earth he'd never imagined, some more advanced, others regressed to primitive states. He saw alien worlds of breathtaking beauty and terrifying hostility. But more than that, he felt the knowledge of countless realities flooding into his mind. The harmonizer was working, stabilizing the convergence and allowing for a controlled exchange of information. As quickly as it began, the event was over. The sky cleared, returning to its normal hues, but Jake knew that Zephyria, and the universe itself, would never be the same. In the days that followed, the full impact of the cosmic convergence became clear. The Zephyrians found themselves with access to technologies and insights from across the multiverse. Jake worked tirelessly to help them understand and implement these new advancements, always mindful of the responsibility that came with such power. One evening, as he stood watching the sunset with Lyra, Zara, and Mira, the three women who had become the center of his new life, Jake reflected on the incredible journey that had brought him to this point. "You know," he said, a smile playing on his lips, "when I crashed on this planet, I thought my life was over. Turns out it was just beginning." Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. "And our world is better for it. You've changed us, Jake. You've shown us that the universe is bigger and more wonderful than we ever imagined." As the first stars began to twinkle in the alien sky, Jake felt a profound sense of peace. He had found his place in the cosmos, on a world beyond his wildest dreams, surrounded by extraordinary women who challenged and inspired him every day. The future stretched out before them, filled with endless possibilities, and Jake knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as Zephyrians, as explorers of the multiverse, and as a family bonded by love and the shared wonder of existence. The quantum renaissance. The dawn of a new era broke over Zephyria, bathing the world in the iridescent light of possibility. In the wake of the cosmic convergence, the planet had become a nexus of multiversal knowledge and innovation. Jake stood at the forefront of this quantum renaissance, his unique blend of Earth ingenuity and Zephyrian wisdom driving advancements that bordered on the miraculous. As the triple suns rose, casting their prismatic glow over the transformed landscape, Jake made his way to the newly constructed Nexus Spire. The towering structure, a fusion of organic crystal and quantum circuitry, pulsed with the lifeblood of infinite realities. "Morning, beautiful," Jake murmured, running his hand along the living walls of the spire. The building seemed to purr in response, recognizing its creator. Lyra materialized beside him, her form shimmering into existence through the quantum teleportation technology they had perfected. "I thought I'd find you here," she said, her smile radiant. "The council is waiting. It's time." Jake nodded, taking a deep breath. Today marked the culmination of months of preparation. Zephyria was about to take its place as a key player in the cosmic community. As they entered the grand chamber atop the Nexus Spire, Jake was struck anew by the diversity of the gathered assembly. Representatives from a dozen realities stood alongside this Epherian council, their forms ranging from the vaguely humanoid to the utterly alien. Matriarch Selene, her ageless beauty enhanced by the wisdom of countless universes, called the meeting to order. Esteemed beings of the multiverse, we welcome you to Zephyria. Today, we stand on the precipice of a new age of cooperation and discovery. Jake stepped forward, feeling the weight of expectation from all sides. What we're proposing is unprecedented, he began, his voice steady. A multiversal exchange program. Using the quantum tunnels, stabilized by our harmonic synthesizer, we can facilitate the free flow of knowledge, technology, and culture across realities. A ripple of excitement passed through the assembly. An entity composed entirely of pulsating lights spoke up, its voice resonating directly in Jake's mind. This is most intriguing. But how can we ensure the safety of our respective realities? Jake grinned, glad for the question. I'm glad you asked. Zara, if you would. Zara stepped forward, her midnight skin shimmering with stars. With a graceful gesture, she activated a holographic display that filled the chamber. Behold, the quantum firewall, she announced proudly. A security system that operates on principles beyond conventional physics. It can detect and neutralize any threat, no matter how advanced, before it can cross between realities. The display showed simulations of the firewall in action, effortlessly containing everything from nanite swarms to reality-warping energies. The assembled representatives murmured in appreciation. Mira, who had become Zephyr's chief diplomat, took the floor. We propose a phased implementation, she explained, her emerald skin glowing with enthusiasm. Beginning with cultural exchanges, then moving to scientific collaboration, and finally, carefully monitored physical travel between realities. As the council deliberated, Jake felt a surge of pride. This was so far beyond anything he could have imagined when he first crashed on this alien world. He had found not just a home, but a purpose that spanned the very fabric of existence. The negotiations stretched on for hours, but finally, an agreement was reached. As the assembly dispersed, promises of future cooperation hanging in the air, Jake found himself surrounded by his closest companions. Lyra embraced him tightly, her joy palpable. You did it, Jake. You've opened up the multiverse. Zara beamed, her starlight hair pulsing with excitement. Can you imagine the discoveries we'll make? The advancements we'll see? Even Mira, usually reserved, couldn't contain her smile. I must admit, when you first arrived, I never thought I'd see the day when Zephyria would be at the center of a multiversal alliance. Jake laughed, feeling lightheaded with the magnitude of what they had accomplished. Believe me, neither did I. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The universe, no, the multiverse, is full of infinite possibilities. We just have to be brave enough to reach for them. As night fell, casting Zephyria in the ethereal glow of its moons, Jake found himself drawn to the crystalline forest. This place, where he had first truly connected with the planet, seemed fitting for reflection. He stood before the massive crystal that had initiated him into the awakening, marveling at how far he had come. A rustle in the underbrush caught his attention, and he turned to see Lyra, Zara, and Mira approaching. We thought we might find you here, Lyra said softly, taking his hand. Zara nodded, her eyes twinkling. It's a big day, a lot to process. Mira stepped closer, her usual prickly demeanor softened by the intimacy of the moment. We wanted to thank you, Jake, for everything you've done for our world. Jake felt a lump form in his throat, overwhelmed by emotion. I should be thanking you, he said. You gave me a home when I was lost, a purpose when I was adrift, and love, he trailed off, looking at each of them in turn, when I least expected it. As if choreographed by the universe itself, the crystal before them began to pulse with energy. The forest around them came alive, resonating with a frequency that seemed to harmonize with the beating of their hearts. In that moment, surrounded by the women he loved and the world he had helped to transform, Jake felt a profound sense of belonging. He had traveled across the stars, faced unimaginable challenges, and emerged not just as a hero, but as a bridge between worlds. The future stretched out before them, infinite in its possibilities. There would be challenges, of course, new threats to face, new mysteries to unravel. But as Jake stood there, hand in hand with his Zephyrian family, he knew that they were ready for whatever the multiverse might throw their way. As the crystal's light enveloped them, Jake smiled. This wasn't an ending, but a beginning. The start of an adventure that would span realities, challenge the very nature of existence, and prove that love, in all its forms, was the most powerful force in any universe. The crystalline forest chimed softly, as if in agreement, and in the heart of Zephyria, a world that had become a beacon of hope for the multiverse, Jake and his companions stepped forward into their bright, infinite future.